Meeting of the Southwest Vermont Union Elementary School District. The first order of business is going to be Pledge of Allegiance. I do hope folks will forgive me for not standing as I'm in my car right now. But with that said, I'll lead the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag,
the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. So our second item of business is to move into executive session. And actually, because our executive session might take a period of time, and because we have a guest, we have Darlene, and forgive me, Darlene, for forgetting your last name, as the director of the American Legion Auxiliary. I'm hoping we can have a motion to amend the agenda to move the presentation from the American Legion before executive session, please.
So moved.
Second.
I see. So Dick and Cindy with a first and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to modify the agenda to allow for the American Legion Auxiliary representative to speak first, please signify by saying aye and or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Very good. The motion passes. In that case, can I please ask Superintendent Culkeen to introduce our visitor, please, our guest?
I don't know if is
Yes, I'm here.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
I was getting nervous. Okay. I have no idea.
Hello.
Anyways, this is Donna Stone, and hello everybody. Long time no see.
Hi, Donna.
I'm here representing the American Legion Auxiliary Unit 13 as their vice president. And as you notice, Darlene Cum is here with me tonight as the president. And we asked to be here for this meeting to informally recognize a teacher. And due to the pandemic and everything that's going on lately, we haven't been able to do anything formally for this presentation as we would have if it hadn't been for the pandemic. So just to start things off, our teacher that we wanted to recognize tonight at last minute had a professional change to her schedule, and she was hoping to be here. And right now she has not logged on, so she is not here, but maybe before I finish, she will get here. So anyways, I'm going to continue with the award, and just want you to be aware of what we have done. So the Vermont State American Legion Auxiliary Educator of the Year Award is very special, and it recognizes and honors an exceptional teacher. And it also celebrates their commitment and dedication to education. And what better way to do that for an educator, but to honor somebody, especially the past few months and this past year that we've been dealing with educational differences and things going on in the lives of educators and our students. Teachers are our students' most important resource, and we are here tonight to applaud and congratulate, drum roll, Laura Saddlemeyer, who is a grade 1 teacher at Molly Stark School. And she is receiving the Vermont State American Legion Auxiliary 2020 Educator of the Year Award. So round of applause for Laura. So receiving the Vermont American Legion Auxiliary 2020 Educator of the Year Award is really a proud accomplishment for her. I nominated her. I actually was her colleague for a few years. And so I know firsthand everything that qualifies Laura and many, many others, all teachers. It is an accomplishment which makes the American Legion Unit 13 Auxiliary very proud to have made the nomination of Laura. As a teacher, Laura is a leader who possesses empathy and understands and shares the feelings of her students and others. I saw that on a regular basis. Laura encourages her students to keep trying and never give up. Laura will be remembered by her students for encouraging them to be the very best they can be. At one point, I had a discussion with Laura, and this has always been a favorite quote of mine, and it's from Einstein. And it says, "It is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge." This is a reminder that in learning, there is joy and creativity inside all of us. So Laura is a teacher that brings out this joy and creativity in all of our students. It is with honor and pride that the American Legion Unit 13 presents Laura Saddlemeyer, grade 1 teacher at Molly Stark School, with the Vermont American Legion Auxiliary 2020 Educator of the Year Award. Round of applause and congratulations, Laura. I do want you to know that we have informally been to Molly Stark School outside and presented Laura with this certificate. I don't know if you can see it or not. Can you see it? No.
No.
Well, so anyways, we gave her a certificate, and we are hoping to have a more formal ceremony at our next convention, and I'm not sure when that will happen, but we are so very proud of nominating and for Laura receiving the Educator of the Year Award. So keep up the good work, everybody, and thank you for having American Legion Auxiliary Unit 13 present this to you tonight at your board meeting. So glad you all got to know what's going on. So thank you very much for having us.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
Donna.
much. Thank you, Donna and Darlene. That's really excellent. That was a wonderful way to start our meeting for sure.
That is, she's a great.
Thank you.
We're very proud, and you know, another thing, she's also a veteran. So
Is
that's,
she? All right.
Yes. Yeah.
so that is also good girl for sure. So thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Very good. So that's wonderful news. That's really great. So I'm appreciative for them for sharing that with us. So that brings us now into our next agenda item, which, as in the posted agenda, it's agenda item 2, the moving into executive session. So I would entertain a motion to move into executive session pursuant to Vermont statutes annotated section 313A3, please, which specifically is the appointment or employment or evaluation of a public officer or employee. So we will be coming out of this executive session to take some action, but we'll be moving into executive session to have the conversation. So I would entertain that motion, please.
I don't know if you can see Dick has his hand up, so I don't know if he has a question or he's making the motion.
Well, both.
Okay.
The thing, I didn't hear Richard. I don't know if Richard got all the names of those attending. It's just a housekeeping thing, but I would make the motion for executive session.
Thank you, Dick. Do we have a second for the executive session motion?
Second.
Okay. I heard Cindy on that. Any discussion on us?
I asked that you have to invite 2 people into your executive session, Elizabeth Grunberg, and I'm asking that you invite Nick Galt, our Director of Human Resources.
Yep, absolutely. So very good. So all those in favor of moving into executive session with those 2 guests noted by our superintendent, please signify by raising your hand and saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the motion passes. Thank you. And Jim, I trust you can move us into executive session.
You should be into a breakout, assigned to a breakout room.
And so the next item on our agenda is public comments. Are there any members of the public who are present and who would like to make comments for the board?
Not seeing any, Chris.
Hearing none, we'll move beyond. We had already adjusted our agenda, so we've covered the American Legion Auxiliary Educator of the Year, but I'll just say it again that our very own Laura Saddlemeyer from Molly Stark has been awarded that, so excellent. That moves us on to our consent agenda. So our consent agenda includes the minutes from March 9th. It also includes a letter of resignation and 3 nomination forms. So I would include, I'll just name them. Elizabeth Grunberg has been nominated as the candidate for principal for Bennington Elementary School. Kristen Thompson has been nominated for the assistant principal position at Molly Stark. And Sarah Scanlon has been nominated for the reading specialist position at Monument Elementary School. So I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as read, please.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you very much. First and a second. Any discussion about the consent agenda?
I just want to say one thing, Chris.
Please.
Tiffany McKenna is the teacher who's looking for resignation. I honestly don't want to see her to go, but I think it's to be a great thing. She's moving on to a principal position in another area school. My daughter had the chance to be with her this year, and I was very pleased with how professional and how wonderful and caring Miss McKenna was. So I just want to acknowledge to the board that we're losing a great teacher in Shasberry, and because I'm lucky to have my kid to be able to have her this year. But she will be great to be missed for Shasberry's community.
Great. Well, that's good feedback to hear. I'm sorry we're losing her, but I'm glad your daughter and the rest of the class had that experience.
But
Great.
she'll benefit other kids in the district or in the area.
So all those in favor then of the motion on the floor, which is to approve the consent agenda, including hiring the Ben L principal and the Molly Stark assistant principal, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye. I'm not opposed. I was late on my eye.
Okay, thank you. So I hear that none are opposed. Any abstentions? Very good. The motion passes. So we've hired, among other things, a principal, an assistant principal, and a reading specialist. So thank you.
Yep. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
That moves us down to the next agenda, which is finance. The March 2021 treasurer's report I did not see as part of the board packet. I haven't seen it posted. But we did have included in the board packet a letter from Subaru noting a donation that's being made to Molly Stark. So there are 6. I'm going to pull up the letter to make sure I have it right, but I want to say there are 6. They've asked that 6 teachers be identified to each receive $500 in this award. Here we go. Yes, so a total award of $3,000 to be divided among 6 teachers who will receive $500 each. So this looks great. The letter was signed by Ann Pfeiffer, the executive director of adoptaclassroom.org. So this is wonderful. So we need to take action and formally accept this. So I would entertain a motion to accept this donation from Bennington Subaru.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Cindy. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Very good. First and second, any discussion on accepting this donation?
I have
Hearing
one
none,
question.
Yes, Cindy, please.
Does that include, because we're all the outlining districts are part of the Bennington, does that ever include Pownell or Shasberry for that?
So I
know
don't have.
Subaru.
Yeah, I don't have a sense as to what the criteria were for determining that any school gets awarded this. I do know that that Bennington Subaru has focused this exclusively on Molly Stark Elementary School. I don't know if there's a nomination process. I don't know how schools get to be considered for this prize, but this is specifically earmarked for just one of the schools in our larger districts.
I understand, but maybe you can look it up and let me know how.
I can do that, Cindy.
Okay.
Donna Basic isn't available this evening, but we can look at, I don't know what the criteria was. I don't know, maybe Laura is here, maybe she knows more if they applied for it or they were picked by Bennington Subaru. I do not know that detail, but we can find that out for you and see if it's available to other schools.
Great, I appreciate it. Thank you.
And just a quick question. This isn't a stipend for the teachers. It's for classroom purposes, correct?
Yes, classroom materials specifically is what the letter says. If I said stipend, I apologize. I must have misspoken. Yeah, this is for the purchase of materials for the classroom.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so all those in favor of the motion on the floor, which is to accept this donation to Molly Stark, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the motion passes. Very good. And that moves us on to our next agenda item, which is the superintendent's report. So Superintendent Culkeen, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. There's a few things I just want to talk about, and I'm also going to call on a few people that are here with me. They don't might know it yet, but I'm there like, if I have the person who's been leading the work, I'd rather have them give you the report. I will tell you that, I think our return to 4 days a week has been successful. The elementary schools, many of them were already there. It's still a challenge at the high school, but I believe we're getting there. I just want to say that we do not have any intention of going to 5 days a week before the end of the school year. We looked at how many Wednesdays there are left. We're going to remain asynchronous for those Wednesdays, mainly because of how many students have still opted out to be fully remote. And it varies percentage throughout the building. I think 8% at one school, up to over 20% at another, and it's almost 30% at the high school that families have opted out and want to remain remote. So that allows for our teachers time to deal with remote learning. And that's why still the 1 hour delay is taking place on the other 4 days. I think we've all adjusted to that right now. And so I'm going to keep it that way for the rest of the year. But speaking the rest of the year, it's going to come quicker than you think because of having remote snow days. So last day for students will be June 7th, last day for staff, June 11th. I did have an interesting meeting with the student senate at the high school. They wanted to meet with me and wanted me to consider that we should still have traditional snow days. Basically that I was, robbing them of one of the greatest joys of education. And we did have one snow day. We had one snow day back in November when I wasn't really confident that we were ready that all Chromebooks have been distributed. It will be our intent to continue that practice next year, unless maybe, power failure might be a really, treacherous conditions, but we'll probably still stay with remote because our goal is everyone is still going to have a one-on-one device with them and they'll be able to participate that way. So that, we're going to, continue to work that out. I do hope, one thing that we, Laura and I and Nick and all our meetings that we go to, we had a meeting, with the union. We meet regularly with the unions. Not only is our students' social, emotional health concerned, but our staff too. So, and parents, we need to acknowledge the type of year that better than a year now that we've all been through and the impact that has had on everybody. And we need to continue that conversation. And we are putting things in place to help our staff. I hope that people, we're starting a summer program and it's going to start July 6th and run through the 29th. Half days with our staff, and then Laura and her team is working to create more partnerships with the community that would be more in the afternoon programming. Laurie, this is where I'm going to ask you on. Laura covered for me a day last week with a meeting with Senator Sanders and our governor to highlight summer programs. And she maybe talked briefly about that and Bernie's instructions that everything should be fun, right? I want you to talk about the summer program a little, and Nick is here too. He's been trying to get these positions filled, but I do, to tie this in, I'm glad that we're getting done early in June, that staff who are going to work for us this summer can at least catch break, get a brain break. My administrators too, principals, everyone's, I can see it. I can see it in meetings that I go to. I can see that people they're just trying to get to the end of the year and hoping for better days. So Laura and Nick, anything you'd like to add? Go right ahead.
I would just, so again, it is our state of Vermont, Representative Sanders is very proud of our state and wants us to lead the way in terms of planning for recovery. And one little, which is going to be, again, a multi-year project. And they were very excited, Governor Scott and Senator Sanders about sharing about how important summer is, and making sure that we have plans for our students. And so we were nervous when we're calling it summer learning. We know that people are tired, and so we were nervous about what we were going to get in terms of staffing. And I think, Nick, we were pleasantly surprised. We have lots of staff that are super excited. We have teachers, we have paraprofessionals, we have clinicians, we have phys ed teachers, we have counselors. And so we have three main components at the elementary level. We have a literacy intervention strand, we have a math intervention strand, and we have a social emotional health and wellness science fun piece. And again, we hope to grow this over the next 3 years using our ESSER recovery money. So that's the goal. So we're going to start small this year. Although we have staff, we hope to grow this so we can service more students. We'll have 3 sites, because we're also trying to be really respectful of maintenance teams haven't had a chance to get into buildings as well. So we're using Pownell as a smaller site, and Shasberry as a smaller site, and then the Bennington site will be Molly Stark. Early education also has a little site, and then the middle school and the high school also each have a site. It's a large team that's working to put this together. There will be coordinators, and again, what we're building, we hope to carry on moving forward. And so again, I'm also thrilled with our community. We are directly partnering with the YMCA to look at how they can support us in the afternoon. So we've our Director of Finance, Renee Gordon, myself, Melissa Senecal, Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, now have weekly meetings. We've also are partnering with the Workforce and Education Committee, which has select board members, which have shared some awesome ideas of some creative ways we can partner with the community. And the Tutorial Center has been an active partner with us through this whole process, and United Counseling Service and the hospital, in terms of just thinking about the supports that we need to put in place this summer and then moving forward. So it's been great.
Thanks, Laura. I mean, it's a tremendous amount of work that's been going on to this recovery. And so much has happened that I'm pleased with, particularly Nick and Laura's work with getting this staffed, because I was concerned that people would just say, I've had enough. But instead, the enthusiasm has been the other way. I want to help out. I want to do it. So thank you to our staff that has come forward to do that. And, you know, it's encouraging. Principals have been starting to ask about end of year guidance. We received it from AOE last week. It basically said, follow the guidance that's there. So we will start looking at that. I told some principals, we meet with them next Tuesday. I said, we'll have some guidance on what type of end of year activities will be allowed. What we say today is probably going to even change by June, but for planning purposes, they need to know, like, what can they do for end of year activities. Pretty much is going to be outdoor type activities, you know, for end of year celebrations or something like that. So what I've been telling principals is, give me your proposal of what you would like to do. And our COVID-19 coordinator, she's not your employee, but she's for MAU, but she's our coordinator for all of it, Ashley Walker. I can't speak enough in praise of her for her work. Anything that gets proposed gets vetted through her for whether it meets the physical distancing guideline and whether we can do this safely. And the amount of times that we've met on weekends, because, you know, there's been another case, and we have to decide who needs to quarantine and how we can go forward. That happens on Saturdays and Sundays and at nights too, and she's always been there. So Ashley, if you're listening, thank you. So end of year guidance, we hope to have the principals by next week. And we're meeting tomorrow with our busing contractor to start looking at what impact any of this new guidance is on transportation issues. And because there'll be requests for buses for possible field trips, which may happen as long as we don't leave the state. And can we keep everything physically distanced, and is it an outdoor activity? Those are all things that I see somebody, hey, Taylor. And and I got Nick here too. So let me thank Nick for his work in this past year and what he's done. You know, I worry about both him and Laura, and that they're overextending themselves, and all the other administrators that work with me, but and your principals, they have been under tremendous pressure. I can't praise them enough. And I don't want to start naming her, because I'm naming Laura and Nick because they're here, but I don't want to leave anybody else. But it just, and again, our teachers and our support staff, our custodians, maintenance workers, our Abby group, who continues to become a food factory, trying to keep people fed through this. And I think they can't wait to start producing hot lunches again, but that's probably not going to happen this year. Talking today to a principal said, like, kids just want to go eat. They don't want to eat in their classroom. They want to eat in the cafeteria again. They want that social interaction again. So hopefully we're getting there. But everyone's just got to hang on a little bit longer. We certainly don't want to get another surge. And you know, we're getting there, and I think we're part of a tremendous organization for what I've seen going on. Yeah, we have our bumps, but like what I said in my meeting with the union today, we continue to talk. We continue to keep the communication open. We continue to talk. That's how we work through our differences in our process. And I have to praise the union president, Katie Sullivan, for her cooperation and her staff. I hesitate to do that, Katie, if you're listening, because I don't want your rank and file thinking that we agree all the time, because we certainly do not, but we agree to continue the conversation. So that's what's important. And thank you to the board for your understanding of what's been a very different year. Everyone's role has shifted a little, and no one planned for it. No one expected it, but I think we're doing okay. And that's my report.
Very good. Thank you, Superintendent Culkeen. Anyone have any questions or comments for Jim?
I just got one quick question. For the summer programming, how are we going to determine which kids are eligible versus not eligible?
So that's
Laura?
that's a great question. So we're working with all of the principals as an admin team to develop that criteria. And it's going to be dependent, Jeff, on the amount of staffing we have, because when you do an evidence-based intervention, you want to make sure you're adhering to the fidelity of the intervention. So it's going to be small groups, which is why we're partnering with community organizations to make sure that there's things that are available for all kids. So we'll be using data to make those decisions. So
okay. And would their notice go out to the parents as soon as possible? Because most parents are already planning for summer vacations. You know,
yeah, I hear you.
That I've already booked days off in July because people can finally travel. So I don't want all these kids who could miss out on the program because parents have already planned ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, Jeff, one thing we are, and we still watch for, so we still have guidance we're adhering to. And so it's been something that's kept us at a slower pace preparing for summer is the guidance that we have to adhere to in terms of what we're going to have capacity to support. And again, it'll definitely be a smaller scale this year that we hope to grow using our ESSER money over time. And so the goal is always to get information out as soon as possible. I know we're in the same boat. The meeting that I attended with representation from all the districts around the state last week, we're actually all moving as fast as we can, getting things in place, knowing that this year we're building something that the next few years we can grow. So, but thank you for your comments. We are going to work as fast as we can. Yes. The thing I should have added that's different for us that I think is really cool, our grant was approved for transportation. So that was super important to make sure that kids had access. So we will have access to transportation this summer.
Well, thank you, everyone. That moves us into our next agenda item, which is policy. There are a number of policies for us to adopt. And just as in an effort to be as efficient as we can be with this, I will simply ask right now, are there any questions about any of the proposed policies that were included in the board packet? So hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the following policies. Policy number 1000, number 2400, number 2450, number 4327, number 5009, number 5010, number 5156, and number 5405. Can I have a motion to accept those policies, please? To
I'll make
adopt
the
those
motion.
policies? Thank you.
Second,
Thank you, Chayla. We have a first and a second. Any discussion on adopting those policies? Hearing none. All those in favor of adopting those policies that were numbered, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, very good. The motion passes and those policies have now been adopted by this board. We also have a policy to warn. That's policy number 5030, which regards attendance. A very simple change has been made. The policy had read that twice a year attendance reports will be given to the SVSU. The policy has been adapted, changed to say that at a minimum of twice a year, that report will be given to the SVSU, and added that that perfect attendance will be recognized annually at each school. So could I have a motion to warn this policy, please?
Motion. I'll make the motion.
Could I have a second, please?
second,
So first and a second, any discussion about adopting this about warning policy 5030? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And the motion passes. That brings us to the chair's report, and I just would like to reiterate all the good things that we're hearing. Every time we come together as a board, despite how challenging the school year has been, despite how challenging just living in this world has been over the last year, there are always areas of success, areas of cooperation, areas of diligence and hard work coming from this unified elementary school district, from staff at all levels. And I continue to be so pleased and so proud to be a part of the way that functions. So my thanks to everyone. And I see that Elizabeth is still with us, so I will just say, Elizabeth, again, congratulations on being brought on board as the principal of Bennington Elementary School. And that nearly exhausts our agenda. We have an FYI. We have the budget status report. We have the student enrollment that was also posted. And then there is the policy number 3115, the prevention of conflict of interest in procurement, which will be reviewed. So having exhausted our agenda, I would entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
I'll make the
So
motion.
moved. Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion on adjourning? Hearing none. All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Very good. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone.